pierogi, borscht, nesting dolls, Russian singing and dancing. Surprisingly, all of this is happening not on the streets of Moscow or Sevastopol, but here at Glendale Community College at the Arizona Russian Festival. America is called a melting pot of cultures, and each ethnicity group in the US adds enriching texture of their traditions, values and achievements. Since the fall of the Soviet Iron Curtain, the number of Eastern Europeans in America has greatly increased, and around 5 million Russian-speaking people reside in the US today. While 60,000 of them call Arizona their home and love it here, Russian culture remains a great part of their identity, and they're glad to share it with others. In America, everybody came from somewhere. Everybody is an immigrant. But we have to represent our culture here the best we can, and our children have to remember it. Students from Russia, Ukraine and America have more freedom today than their parents and can openly share their cultures with each other. For Arizonans who are interested in Russian culture, there are many opportunities to become acquainted with it. Recently, Arizona held its first annual Russian festival. It was organized by the Russian Orthodox Church and hosted by Glendale Community College. Anyone interested in Russian culture and traditions didn't miss the big event.
My mother's Russian, so I'm half Russian, and I've always been interested in Russian culture.
I'm in the Russian 101 class at MCC, and we were told about it, and I haven't really done a lot of travel in Russia, but having spent some time in that cultural region, I wanted to come see more of it.
I'm here with some Russian friends. I don't really know a lot about the culture, but I'd like to learn more.
Besides famous Matryoshka dolls to see, the festival had many other unique items, like a collection of rare Russian motorcycles, old Russian guns, traditional Kuban Cossack costumes, Russian and Ukrainian artwork, including paintings and handmade jewelry. The music at the festival was equally unique, and some of the songs performed came all the way from the time of the Tsars. Outlawed by 70 years of communist rule, the Orthodox faith is another integral part of Russian culture that visitors learned about at the festival.
And the church has an integral part to play in the formation of Russian culture, which is had the church there for over 1,000 years now. And so it's kind of interwoven so much so that it's hard to distinguish where being Russian stops and becoming Orthodox begins. And so we wanted to share that with people who might be curious about Russia.
I like the festival, and I'm waiting to see the dancing, the traditional dancing, because I think that'll be really interesting to watch.
I'm looking forward to learning about the food mostly. Looks pretty good.
That's with a cabbage, that's with a peach, cheese, potatoes, very delicious.
Russian speakers from various post-Soviet Union republics were also at the festival to represent other Eastern European cultures.
I am kind of mixed Russian and Ukrainian, and I got my degree in Ukraine actually, and I'm a ceramic artist, but I love to paint, so I kind of developed my own style. It's hard to tell if it's Ukrainian or Russian. But
students interested in studying Russian language were able to collect information about Russian language courses with native speaker, offered by Mesa Community College.
I really love my job. Russian is my mother tongue, and I also have experience in teaching Russian language to international students. I feel happy that I can share my background, knowledge and experience with students who want to know the Russian language and culture.
Large events like the Arizona Russian Festival help Russian American citizens come together as a community, give younger generations an opportunity to learn more about their heritage, and allow Arizonans to better understand their neighbors and co-workers whose culture was kept secret behind the Iron Curtain for many years.
First of all, I want to know how fun and great people we are, that, the hospitality is a big part of our culture, and that we just are great people, and we just love people, and we love America.
It's not that different. I love different cultures. So Russia kind of reflects America because we have so many different cultures. Even I'm a Buryat person in Russia, so we have a huge diversity of people in Russia, so it reminds me a lot of Arizona.
I hope that the Russians will see that there are Americans who appreciate and understand them and value their culture, find things in it that they want to obtain for themselves. I want the Americans to see that the Russian culture is rich, that the Russian people have a lot to offer.
And now we invite you to take a trip 180 degrees east to see how American culture is celebrated in Ukraine and Russia.
Everyone knows that American culture has a great influence on the whole world, but actually, Russians are only into a few useful American things: movies and the internet. An iPhone, Google, YouTube, burgers, Coca-Cola, stand-up comedy, comics, Facebook, Madonna, Michael Jackson, American football, basketball, baseball. Oh, and of course, bowling. It's the bowling that makes the dude, the main character of the Big Lebowski movie by the Coen brothers, forget all his troubles. Bowling has become popular not only as a family activity, but also as a professional sport. It was born as we know it in the middle of the 20th century, when in 1936 Gottfried Schmidt invented the mechanical pinsetter and then sold the patent to the American Machine and Foundry Company in 1945. The mechanics of the game hasn't changed ever since. Upscale bowling alleys have developed into no less than a little cities inside big ones. One can easily spend a whole day there with friends or family and have all their needs satisfied. The other American cultural phenomenon that has become popular in Russia is stand-up comedy. Comedy shows where performers speak to the audience and even make fun of them and often makes jokes on the fly. Worldwide stars such as Jim Carrey and Eddie Murphy first became famous in this genre. While stand-up comedy was gaining popularity in the US, Russians came up with their own comedy show, КВН. This is the so-called humorous acting game in which a couple of teams compete for the title of the most funny. What's special in stand-up comedy is the small auditorium size. Such shows usually take place in bars, pubs or cafes. One can find some bars and nightclubs in Moscow where comedy shows are held every weekend. And not just any comedy, but classical stand-up comedy shows. The main idea of stand-up jokes is that they sound like real-life stories. This usually involves some politics, some social life and some themes of current interest. To see real American life, not only from TV shows but through their own eyes, a couple of students went to USA this summer via a work and travel tour. In movie theaters, in cafes or at work, Americans act more confident, sometimes even saucy. When they listen to music in the subway, they begin moving to the beat much more expressive than Russian people do. Here is one interesting thing. Almost everywhere, edges of automobile roads are crooked. It's made on purpose. These man-made potholes are used to wake up drivers who fall asleep during a long ride. When the car runs into these potholes, it starts to shake and it wakes the driver up. We have no such system in Russia. American music is quite popular in Russia, but the Russian artists are not well known in the state. Nevertheless, the motherland of Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff has artists who play American mainstream music. American rock bands had a tremendous impact on our music. In my opinion, American music is like the roots of every music that is made here nowadays. The most prominent representative of our genre in the USA is the band Lifehouse, who are my idols, you know. Visit Russia and our concerts. I'm Alexei, and this is Evgeny, exclusively for 180 View. Despite of the fact that Russian inherited a lot from Americans, we still keep thinking and doing things in Russian way.